topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is the first Wednesday of the month, my favorite show. I got to tell you, it was my brother's, I think his 8th anniversary when he passed, and he passed away from cancer in his early 60s. He was under the care of my brother-in-law, who was the head of internal medicine at Baylor Hospital in Dallas. But I got to tell you, if I would have known Dr. Taylor with the Taylor Medical Group 8 years ago, I would have told him he needs to contact Dr. Taylor. And listen, there's only so much a doctor can do. But I got to tell you, Dr. Taylor, his methods, and he was one of the greatest MDs in OBGYN in Atlanta, and basically gave up that practice to go into functional medicine. I have never, ever truly believed, including my own brother-in-law, in a doctor as much as I have Dr. Elder Taylor. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Hey, how are you doing? Hey,
Good morning. How about that for an opening?
yeah, man, thanks. Hey, my Aza's Blueprint uh, podcast is right before yours, and what we were talking about today was cancer. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I
But we're
did know
talking about.
that's what we're going to talk about
Oh,
today
okay, yeah,
because, listen, I
yeah,
read every one of
yeah.
every
Oh,
one of
okay,
your blueprints, and I got
yeah.
to tell people how they can get your blueprint.
Oh, yeah.
The
Please,
ages.
Aza's Blueprint. So it's a school. It's www.skool.com. So it's trying to take you to school about your health. So skool.com/ageless. And initially it's under construction, but the official launch is going to be next week. And I
Hmm.
tell you, there's a lot of information in there. I'm going to continue to build courses. I'm very proud of it. It was a labor of love. It took about 2 or 3 months to really get it going, but please join that right now. It's free. As we move along, there'll be certain things that you have to pay for, but right now it's free. So go in and please join. There's a community there. I always respond to any of the comments. So that is the best way to get in touch with me, and that's why I started this, because I'm in Atlanta. Not everybody's going to come here. And
Right.
I needed a way to get this information out to as many people as possible. And so that's just one of the ways. And Ask the Experts is one. From that, we went to Ageless Blueprint. I'm trying all kinds of modes of communication to get this information out to people. So yeah, so
And
thanks a lot for this opportunity.
we
Hmm.
repeat your show every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So
Thanks.
if you
Yeah.
missed today's show, we replay it for the next 3 weeks. But I
Hmm.
saw about your healing traits that
Yeah.
change what you believe about cancer. And I
Yeah.
said, wow, here with my brother passing, and what a great
Hmm.
topic to talk on today. And Plus, I know you're going to be talking about it on your podcast, which is
Yeah.
every Monday
No,
at
every Wednesday at 9. It's
every
right before your
Wednesday.
show, but I do it every
Okay.
Wednesday. Yeah. And you can get to all of the podcasts are on agelessblueprintpodcast.com.
Mm,
All of the past podcasts are there and the one from today. So if anyone is dealing with cancer or knows someone who is dealing with cancer, please go to agelessblueprintpodcast.com and you'll hear. And I had a special guest. This is a young lady that I met maybe 2 or 3 years ago. She had triple negative breast cancer, which is the worst. She initially went through conventional therapy and then she had a recurrence. And intuitively, she said, I'm not going to go that route again. I'm going to go a different route. So she did a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today that's in this book called Radical Remission
yeah.
by Dr. Kelly Turner. And she interviewed over 1,000 people who had a remission from their tumors or cancers. Some of them did conventional treatment. Most of them did not, or either were like Miss Harris, who started out with conventional treatment, and it was so difficult. They said, "Hey, there's got to be another way," and then they did it another way, and they had a remission. And she's been cancer free for, I think she said, 3 or 4 years. You can go to the podcast. It's a very inspiring story, and
Hallelujah.
she has a support group called My Style Matters, where she supports other women and tries to help them in their journey through into trying to achieve a radical remission. So, there's 9 habits, and I'll quickly go over them, and whatever if we can expand on it, we can. If we run out of time, that's fine. But you can get the whole interview there. But there's 9 things, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm looking at my notes. One is changing your diet, and it's primarily going to a plant-based diet. That's really what seems to be. And let me tell you how she did this book. She interviewed over 1,000 people who had recovered, and these 9 habits seem to be common between all of these people. So one, they changed their
Wow.
diet primarily plant-based. Got rid of meat, got rid of dairy, got rid of sugar, got rid of gluten. So that was probably one of the most important things. And when I started seeing cancer patients, all of them came in and said they took meat out of their diet, and so that's what spurred me into looking at plant-based diets. And
Is
now
that why
I
you
follow
planted your
plant-based.
own garden, Dr.
Yeah, that's
Taylor?
why I planted my own garden, and that's why I converted to a plant-based diet. I'm like, look, I don't want to wait till I get cancer to change to a plant-based
Right.
diet. I'm going to start now. And what I'm talking about now is not only about it's not only things that people can do who have cancer, but these are the things you can do to try and decrease your risk of cancer. So anyone needs to look at these habits. These are just good habits. So one, plant-based diet. Two, take control of your health. uh, you'll see on this interview, she said when she went to the doctor, the oncologist, and said, okay, when she was doing the conventional therapy, they said, okay, if I do this chemotherapy, she said, what can I do to help heal myself? And the doctor told her nothing. He said, there's nothing you can do. All you need to do is come in and get this chemotherapy and radiation. And I told her, I said, I'm embarrassed for the medical profession to say something like that to a patient. And she kept saying, she said that the doctor kept talking about how she was going to die. If you
Wow.
don't do this, you will die. If you don't do this, you will die. And she told the doctor, yes, I know I'm going to die. I know you're going to die. Everybody's going to die. Okay. And she said, but I don't plan to die from this disease. And that's when she took control of her health and she disregarded what the doctors were telling her. So
What did she do
she did
besides?
all kinds of things. Well, she said the number one thing she did was change her mind
Hmm.
about how she thought about the disease. Not that she was a victim of cancer, but she was an overcomer. She says she does not call
Oh,
herself a cancer survivor. She calls herself a cancer overcomer. And so it's all about, she said, the hardest work is to change your mind and get over the fear, because fear causes stress, and you know how I feel about stress.
yes,
Okay. So yeah,
absolutely.
you got to get over that fear, and I feel like a lot of times the oncologists try to convince you to do what they are telling you to do based on fear. If you don't follow my rules, you are going to die. And so fear is a great motivator, but it's the wrong motivator. The real motivator is love. The opposite of fear is love. And you have to, and she was talking about how she had to love herself and she had to not think that she was being punished because she was a bad person and she got cancer. So she said that the hardest part, or the most effective and the hardest part, is changing your perception about the disease. All right. So the third thing is following your intuition. I can't tell you how many of the patients who come to me and after they've gone through chemotherapy or radiation, and now they come and they're starting to do some alternative things. She said, they say, something told me that this was not right for me. Something told me not to do it, but I did it anyway because I was scared. And that's why I'm saying fear makes you override your intuition. And I always tell patients, don't ever do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. And that includes what I tell you to do. If you don't feel comfortable with what I'm telling you, then do not do it. Because if you don't believe it's going to work, it will not work. And now I'll tell you, some people, they go through conventional therapy. They believe in it and it can work, but it doesn't work for everybody. And sometimes I feel like oncologists, they are so focused on killing the cancer, they don't realize they're killing the patient in the process. They don't realize that, hey, you can kill the cancer, but if you're killing the patient's way of life and their quality of life, is life really worth living? And I think a lot of patients just give up because life isn't worth living because they're so miserable. So follow your intuition.
Dr.
Using
Taylor,
herbs
let
and
me
yeah.
ask
Hmm.
you something
Hmm.
because I know of not a, I've got friends of mine who are getting up in age and they're always negative. Everything is
Yeah.
negative. How
Yeah.
do you change that mindset?
Yeah, a lot of it is just programming, subconscious programming. If they've had a lot of negative experiences, that's all they know. And one of the other habits is that you have to get rid of those negative emotions, and you have to replace them with positive emotions. Yeah, you have to believe and think that you're healthy. You have to have positive. Uh, you have to do things that you love to do. Go out in nature. You have to see some positive things. You have to be around positive people. You have to get away from negative people. Miss Harris was talking about how she didn't tell many people about her cancer because she didn't want them to have pity on her. She didn't want them to talk about how their sister's grandmother died of cancer. She didn't want to hear any of that. So, yeah, you can't be negative toward your outside world and you can't be negative towards yourself. Again, a lot of times people have self deprecating perceptions of themselves, thinking that they are unworthy, that they are being punished, that they did something 10 years ago and they're still being, punished by it. So, yeah, that negative energy causes, uh, we talk about in quantum physics, where your mind gets into your body. So, if you have a negative frame of mind, your body has a negative energy, and that negative energy is what causes disharmony and imbalance and disease. So, that your mindset is really, really important.
You know,
So,
it's amazing.
mhm,
I've got a
mhm,
friend of mine who's a believer like you and I are,
mhm.
and she is 74. I mean, very healthy. She will not even say cancer. She will not,
Yeah,
nothing will come out of her mouth that's
yeah,
negative.
right.
She's the most healthiest person I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's why I'm talking about that spirit, mind, body connection, is that the spirit is going to give you positive thoughts. You have to believe, hey, if God or spirit or whatever is all knowing and all capable, you have to believe that that higher power can heal you. Okay? You have to believe that. And you have to get that into your mind. And then that mind will affect your body. Those thoughts will create actions, and those actions create emotions, and those emotions will change your body. And it's like you're saying, negative people. I don't want to be around them because that negative
Yes.
energy is contagious. It's contagious.
Yes.
And if you are connected to your intuition will tell you to remove yourself from um, negative energies that can affect you. So yeah, you need to get whoever that friend is that's negative. You need to stay away from that person. You really do.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
think it's gotta be difficult, especially if someone has been diagnosed with cancer.
yeah,
Because I know my brother, everything was negative, everything.
yeah,
And
yeah. You can't.
it must be hard to get through to those people, though.
Yeah, and again, what she was saying is that you have to be willing to do the work.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to be. It's Cancer is not like a cold where you can take some NyQuil in 2 or 3 days it's
Yeah.
gone. That it's a tough thing, and you also don't want to. I don't like to use the word fighting cancer because that is like you're in a battle, and that can cause
Yes.
stress. What you really want to say is, what is this cancer telling me? I'm going to tell you in this book when you read it, a lot of these people who had these radical remissions, they say that the cancer was the best thing that ever happened to them because it kind of woke them up to how they were living, and it made them change how they looked at life and how they went through life. So a lot of these people are thankful for the cancer. And I will tell you that gratitude is one of the most powerful things you can ever practice is be grateful for everything that has happened in your life. And when you can be grateful, I'll tell you anything that was initially negative, you can look at how it changed you in a positive way. And it's amazing how some of these people who had god awful cancers, they are thankful for it. Even Miss Harris, it led her into providing the support group for other cancer overcomers, and she's thankful for it, and it's changed her life. So you have to look at your life and be grateful. I will tell you that if you can start being grateful, you will see how it changes your mind, body, and spirit. Is just be grateful. Okay, that would be probably my best advice to people.
Hey,
So we
Dr.
talked about
Taylor,
use. Go ahead. Mhm.
we just got a text from Manhattan, New York,
Oh
Raymond.
wow.
He
Hmm.
said, "This is the second show I've caught of Dr. Taylor's. This man is amazing." This, I think this is one of your cousins, Doctor. No, but
Yeah,
he said,
maybe.
"Can you tell us what type of patients you see, whether it's in office or telemedicine?"
Yeah, well, I mean, so I see any person who, how can I say it? I say it's functional medicine. If you have a no doubt about a disease, then you need to have that diagnosed and treated by a doc. But most people don't have diseases. They have dysfunctions. And even cancer is a dysfunction of your cellular regulation. These cells become unregulated. So I see patients who have functional problems. And most problems are functional before they become a disease. And once your disease, the acute issues of your disease are treated, okay, so let's say you had a heart attack and you went to the hospital and you got over the heart attack. Well, then you come to me because then I'm going to look for things to keep your heart functioning at least at this level after the heart attack or better, because there's certain things that you can do, digital pulse analysis, taking arginine, beetroot juice. There's things you can do to improve your cardiovascular health. So if you have an acute issue, you're in a car wreck, you had a heart disease, you have kidney failure, whatever, you need conventional medicine because conventional medicine diagnoses and treats disease. But a lot of times you'll go to the doctor and they'll say you don't have a disease, but you are not functioning properly. That's my patient. Okay. If you don't have a quote unquote disease, but you still don't feel normal, then that's my patient. That's the best way I can explain
Don't go
what
to
I
Dr.
do.
Taylor for a broken arm.
Yeah, I can't help you. Yeah, you need to go to an orthopedic doc and get a cast on it. And now there are some things you can do to help it to heal. Okay. There's peptides like BPC 157. So there's things to help it to heal. But when after the acute problem is taken care of, then there may be some things that I can offer you. I have patients who come into the office and they'll say, I have this. I'm like, oh, did you know you can do this? And I tell people I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. So if so for me to list all the kind of patients I see is kind of hard. But a lot of times I will tell you here are some other options. So I try to keep the options open.
I always related to, you know, your body, you know there's something wrong. The doctor says all your blood work is fine,
Yeah,
and basically, I don't know what else to do. Then you go
yeah,
to Dr. Taylor.
yeah. Because doctors are used to drawing blood. So
Yes.
I talk about saliva testing. That's foreign to them. And I'll tell you this. Here's how doctors are. If they are not knowledgeable about something, then they automatically disregard it. Okay. So
Ah,
what I would say is that is what they're not up on, they're down on. So they don't know about saliva testing, so they'll tell you, oh, it's worthless. They don't know about all of these other things to help with cancer, so they say, oh, it's worthless. Just because you don't know something doesn't mean that it can't be helpful. There's a lot of things that I don't know, but that doesn't mean hey, I don't know I don't know how a car works, but it's still helpful to me, so there's just because I don't know it doesn't mean that it can't be useful, that I can't use it to, provide some kind of service for me. So when a patient comes to me and they tell me about something I don't know, I'm the first person to go research it and to see if it could help me or help one of my patients. And that's what she said in this book. She said the patients who have these remissions will go back to the oncologist, and the patient will say that the oncologist didn't want to know what I was doing. They're not asking, "Hey, how
well,
did you do this?" And I ask all my patients, "Hey, what are you doing? Let me know what's working. Let me try and investigate and see if I can find the science to why it works." So yeah, I learned so much from my patients. I don't disregard what my patients bring in, what they found on Google, because you're right, they're going to do more research about their condition than I'm going to do. All right. So yeah, I'd
yeah,
love for my patients to be actively involved. And that's one of the habits is that those patients took control of their health. They may have listened to the oncologist, but you need to look at doctors as advisors, not as gods. Okay? Because the advice I give you, you can either accept my advice or you don't have to accept it. That's fine. I'm just giving you my best advice. And it's up to you to decide what is best for you. All right. So that's my
Dr.
little
Taylor,
dialogue there. Hmm.
we only got through half of the trades. I
Yeah.
hope we can finish this off next month. Your show just goes
Yeah.
by so fast. And why
Yeah.
every time I
Yeah.
do your show, I've got my mind, oh, we got to do a show on this, or we got to do a show on this. But we'll never
Yeah.
run out of ideas. Tell people how they
No.
can, the best way to contact you.
I'm really going to tell you the best way to contact me is to join that school group. I'm
Yes.
really trying to promote that. I'm really trying to promote that because I've actually taken a second day out of my office. I used to take Wednesdays off so that I could work on different things. Now I take Tuesdays and Wednesdays out of the office just to work on that project and to try and make it as good as possible and have as the best information possible on that platform. So it's www.skool.com/ageless. And if you want to contact me, you can go to our website is taylormedicalgroup.net, not .com.net. Uh, my YouTube channel is Ageless Blueprint One. And the podcast is agelessblueprintpodcast.com. So all of those ways you can leave comments, and I promise you, if you leave a comment, I will respond to you. So yeah, so if you can use
And your
those
show is
those
Wednesdays every Wednesday
At
at
9
9
o'clock.
o'clock. Yes,
Yeah, at 9 o'clock.
W4CY.com.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again next month.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thanks,
See you
Dr.
later,
Taylor.
you guys. All right.
And that's Dr. Eldred Taylor. Amazing. Listen, if you've got yourself or a family member, especially someone going through cancer, they've tried everything. They haven't tried everything if they haven't contacted Dr. Eldred Taylor. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.